resume. If I'm trying to emotionally connect with you, that's not the way to go about it.
The way you communicate is just really, toxic. It's just...
Excuse me?
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book 91. Imagine you're pouring your heart out, just pouring it out, talking about your achievements, your passions, and your hard work, and the things that you have done in your life. And then for your partner to tell you, it reads like a resume. It sounds like a resume. It smells like a resume. That's exactly what happened on Married at First Sight Australia Season 12, the latest episode between Jacqui and Ryan. Now, if you watch part 1, I broke down about the warfare that they both went into. Today, we're going to break down the simple miscommunication that happens between couples all the time, because Jacqui and Ryan are a great example of how couples miss each other when they don't validate each other's perspective and each other's viewpoints. Okay, so we're going to break down the attachment style a little bit and also how that plays a role in communication with each other. I want to let you know that couples don't always instantly connect when they get together, but they struggle and strive to begin to bring understanding to one another, and that comes through listening and also showing grace, but also not personalizing certain things that actually happen. So get ready to break down, to build up. And so we're going to give you guys some insight into this particular relationship, and it should help you in your relationship too. So make sure you do me a favor. You're liking, you're sharing, and you're subscribing to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. Okay, all right. I still got a voice. Don't play with me now. We're going to drop a little intro. And we're going to get into this. You know what time it is. All right. Listen, so as you've heard me many times on my videos, I break down attachment theory analysis. We can see here from my own perspective that we're having this kind of almost avoidant, anxious kind of cycle between Jacqui and Ryan. But I mean, the great thing that we can see here is that there's a moment which really broke my heart, but it also gave me a little bit of hope that these two can actually begin to work things through. When Jacqui stood up and said, "You didn't really validate me." Now, she didn't say those words, but she kind of said that instinctively. And we're going to play a little bit of a clip so you can actually see that. And that's when it told me a little bit more about Jacqui. She has fought all her life to be understood. She's fought all her life to be liked. She's fought all her life to be actually somebody who's desired and wanted. She has built herself up. But what she didn't realize is that the value that you're looking for, you don't drag it from people. You don't take it from people. People give it because you're being authentic and being you. And one of the things about the attachment style anxiousness is that they are consistently in performance mode, trying to perform in a place of servitude to try and attain the affections and the favor of people. They have learned and built up in their own mind, in their own head, that they must win the affection of somebody. And that leads them to people-pleasing tendencies and codependencies and often narcissistic relationships. So we're going to break it down with Jacqui and Ryan here. And I want to play this clip so you guys can actually have an understanding of why it felt so heavy in their conversation, but also why there could be some hope if we begin to break it down.
Offer.
And I took it on board.
And you've said nothing good about it. Instead of saying that, you could say, "I think that you're amazing. I want to get to know this side of you more."
Now, did you hear her plea and her cry? You know, I understood what his point was. He felt like when she was reading off her achievements, her goals, and everything like that, it had nothing to do with the relationship. It had nothing to do with their connection. It had nothing to do with him specifically. But what she was trying to do was she was trying to connect. And she was trying to connect through the only way she fully understood, which was to tell you about what she had done, how she had built herself up to the place that she is, because that is a part of who she is. She has grounded and fought and torn and whatever word I can use to kind of show that she'd really had a fight to be where she is right now. That is a part of who she is. And she was letting him into that world. But it didn't read off that particular way. It didn't come off that way. It did come off like a resume. And not only did it come off like a resume, it came off like, "I'm almost better than you," almost, in a sense. But I don't think that's what she was aiming for. She really wanted to be understood. So this is where it gets interesting, because the other party also did something that I mentioned that we saw with Athena and Adrian, which is they personalized the message. When, you know, he started telling her how he would have actually done things, instead of actually asking more questions to understand where she was coming from. Her remonstration of standing up and letting him know that, hey, this is what I would have wanted from you. Let's listen to her one more time, because she tells him what she would have wanted.
Offer.
And I took it on board. I took it on board.
And you said nothing good about it. Instead of saying that, you could say, I think that you're amazing. I want to get to know this side of you more.
If you heard her correctly, she said, listen, you could have said that you liked me and then told me that you want to get to know more of that side of me. And that is what she actually wanted. She wanted some validation. She wanted some encouragement. She wanted him to say, she yearned for him to say something positive, something good. Remember, this is on the back of another argument that they had about him putting her third in the rankings. This is about him putting his shoes on the bed. This is about her calling out his manliness. This is about him calling out her calling out his manhood. This is about her trying to remonstrate and tell us what a man is. They've been fighting for a long time for positional power in this relationship because both of them are insecure. Now, he may talk about being a warrior, but a lot of us have insecurities, and it shows when somebody begins to touch you in a particular area and your response is not one of inquiry, but judgment. See, people that are insecure run to judgment because it's the only way they felt safe. It is the only way they felt like they could handle situations. If I run to judgment, I make a quick decision, I cut out the nonsense. But what they don't realize is a balanced person is able in their power and the strength to be vulnerable, as well as being able to stand back and ask some questions. But the difficulty is asking questions means not personalizing it. But the problem with insecurity is we personalize it. And that's what attachment styles is teaching us. That if you're avoidant, if you're an anxious person, if you are somebody who's fearful avoidant, which are the three insecure attachments, what you're going to find is that you often run to judgment before you run to inquiry. It's a part of how you have been safe all this time. And so both of them do this, but I'm pointing out Ryan here because of what's happened. Ryan runs to, it's a resume. He almost wants to humble her in a little bit in some sense, but he couldn't emotionally connect, which I understood. But what he needed to do was also acknowledge the fact that, look, I really do like you, right? This would have been encouragement. I do like you. You know, I just struggled to be able to connect with you because I wanted to understand you emotionally, right? So this is a part of your life. You've, and he could have dug it a bit deeper. Okay, so you've done X, Y, and Z. I'm proud of you, you know, because that takes work, and this would have been a moment to bridge the gap. But a lot of times when we are thinking about what we want and how we want it to be, sometimes it's very difficult to connect with people, and that makes it difficult, right? So we've got his avoidancy in the way that he dealt with her, and we've got her anxiousness trying to prove her worthiness, right? Okay, and so this impacts the connection because we get this cycle. Now, talking about communication, right? We know that men can be sometimes very direct, solution orientated. We know they seek connection by sharing and being understood. We know that women talk to get connection. We know women will try to share to get connection. We know women like to express emotions, and as they are talking, they are processing their thoughts. We know that. They are expressive in their identity and their appreciations, and they are expressive in their emotions, okay? What Jacqui really wanted from Ryan was for him to recognize the adversity to get to a place where she has built herself up with intellect and financial astuteness. All right, but Ryan was looking more for this warmth, this emotional engagement, looking for this connectiveness through the emotional aspect. We're going to hear him actually mention it. He wanted to hear that, right?
It's more of a resume. If I'm trying to emotionally connect with you, that's not the way to go about it.
The way you communicate is just really, like, toxic. It's just...
Excuse me?
Now, I don't believe he's toxic, and I don't believe, I mean, sis, I don't believe you as toxic either, to be honest. I mean, anyway, listen, that's beside the point. The key here, what he just said was, he actually slightly berated her, and he didn't realize, okay? And the way he berated her is by solving the issue, rather than asking more questions, right? Men are from Mars, and they tend to do that. They tend to go straight to the solution, rather than actually inquiring a bit more, having more conversation, then providing a solution. What do I mean by that? He didn't validate her feelings. Okay, he said, well, if you know what, if I'm trying to, he said, he actually personalized himself. If I'm trying to emotionally connect, that's not the way I'm going to go about it. But that's not you. And so what he needed to do was be a bit more in a place of inquiry. Hey, look, for me, this is not how I emotionally connect, but I want to be able to understand you a bit more. You know, I want to understand you a bit more. Let me dive a little bit deeper into the achievements and the goals that you have as well, right? And understand you a bit better in this space. But he actually told her how to behave. Now, that's never going to go down well, right? That's not validating the person's emotions. That's not validating the person's achievements. That's not validating the person who they actually are. Okay? Now, I don't disagree with his actual sentiment in terms of it reading like a resume. Let's listen.
To bring something interesting to the table. Okay, so I received first-class honors in law and finance. I know how to do accounting, drafting contracts, negotiating, presenting.
She spoke about all these things that she does and said, I'm valuable to somebody. And she was actually selling herself. And actually, he mentioned it very quite well. She was grandstanding. She was trying to promote herself, self-promotion in a sense. And that doesn't work. That's not how relationships actually are. But again, once more, like I said, he needs to be in a place of inquiry, not judgment. She led with her credentials. She was doing it like it was a job interview. But the reality of the situation is that's because she's very defensive. She's not as open like a flower like that yet. She's learned to navigate the world through a lens of the masculinity, of energy, by presenting things in a way of, this is what I've achieved. Not realizing that men don't resonate with that particular aspect. They resonate with the femininity that you bring to the table in terms of energy. Right, your kindness, your compassion, your love, your creativity, your nurturing aspects. That's what they often resonate with, right? Your ability to express emotion in a way, right? So this is also part of it. So here's what had to happen, right? Because we need them to move from the resume story, right? We need her to share more personal stories that highlight her growth, her struggles, her lessons learned. That's a very difficult thing. If we're going to go to solutions, let me go to solutions here. What we needed Jacqui to do was to move away from the resume, quote unquote to say, and move to more personalized stories, right? And the reason why is because, again, we want to connect emotionally, but it promotes a place of connectivity. And you know, earlier on in the season, we heard him say he got bullied, and she was able to resonate with that and said, oh, I can actually understand her a bit better now. So she can identify how the emotional aspect works. In this instant, I felt like what happened was she was wounded by the previous behaviors. So she found her way of trying to self-promote herself again to show that she's valuable to him, instead of actually just being. And many people struggle in this area of relationships. They struggle to just be, and they are always consistently selling themselves to the other party. And by all means, darling, whenever you sell yourself, sir, whenever you sell yourself, what ends up happening is people buy, but they don't want to keep. Because in reality, we don't buy because you sold yourself. We buy because of you are who you are and you're authentic. Nobody wants to be sold. Well, technically, that's incorrect. We all want to be seduced and sold. But there's a way to do it. And when we do that by being subtle, not overt, when you overtly do it, people are turned off. Like a salesman that knocks on your door and he's overtly selling a window. Nobody wants to buy. He has to be subtle and he has to seduce you. Okay, so what we need is, let's go to solutions really quickly. What Jacqui could have done is move from a resume perspective and move to more personalized stories, highlight her growth, her struggles, and the lessons that she learned in life to allow him to connect. And then use the emotional connection points. I love learning because it helps me understand people better. See how he brings that back into the connectivity? You know, have you ever read this book? Because I love reading it because it changed my perspective. It would have brought in more of a connectivity. But she talked about things that involved her achievements, but not necessarily anything that drives relationship. It was more what I've achieved. Now, Ryan could have validated her instead of dismissing her. He should have really been able to dive a little bit deeper, be in a place of inquiry, ask more questions, offer positive reinforcement. Wow, that takes a lot of dedication to do. I admire the effort it took. This is what she was asking for. And then could have found some more common ground with her in her personal insights or experiences. He really could have been like, yo, like, can't lie to you. Wow, like the fact that you achieved that and you run a business and you do it in your sleep, I haven't done that yet. But I would love to find out a bit more. I would love to connect with you and understand that. I haven't got a personal goal of 500 million US, but you know what? I'm intrigued to find out how you aim to actually do that. Like, if you're finding ways to connect with a person. Now I get it. He probably doesn't want to do that, but that's how we connect with people. And that's what's needed. Okay? Jacqui has a very extensive need for appreciation. And that seeking of validation is going to always cause issues in a relationship. And Ryan's want a need for admiration, which what most men want, admiration, okay, he's not getting it from her. She doesn't admire him. And so that lack of admiration causes him to withdraw. So this is what two people need. She needs validation. She needs assurance and the reassurance. He needs also to feel a reassurance through the admiration. Does she have admiration for me? But when she tells him about a godlike body of her ex and telling him about the men that she has dealt with and she's an asset to them, she's not actually validating him either. And this is why people don't want to listen, because when they don't feel validated, they don't want to listen. They don't want to hear anything. Okay? They don't want to feel anything. So my final constraint to this, Jacqui can shift from seeking validation through her achievements to sharing stories and personalized stories to foster an emotional connection together. Ryan can shift from dismissing the details to engaging with curiosity and appreciation, right? And Jacqui can begin to actually validate Ryan and show admiration for who he is. But right now, she hasn't done that. All right. And I understand that both of them have their own attachment styles and that plays a role in it. But until they do this for each other, nobody's going to win. They're always going to be at loggerheads every single time. And your relationship will also be at loggerheads because you also have that. You may also identify with either Ryan or Jacqui and feel like, I'm not getting what I want. But are you giving what you need to give? That's a question for you to answer yourself. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section as well. We'd love to hear from you guys as well. Okay? Like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of uploads.
Little black book. You know what time it is. Time it is. Time it is.